Hello, welcome to the Stage of Greatness. I am Danielle Francine, and it has been a really long time, I feel like, since I've been here with you guys. I'm really excited to share with you my experience that I had in Peru in the jungle for 10 days. So the entire trip was 2 weeks, and leading up to it, for that week and a half, I was preparing myself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of the things. And then also coming home this past week. So it's been a week today since I've been home, easing back into this reality has been quite the journey in itself. So that is why it has been so long. I've been putting all of my energy towards this. So really, all in all, I'm going to go through the biggest nuggets that I received, what I've learned, what I've been implementing. And I hope and I pray, my desire is that you resonate with some of this, or maybe you see some of this, some pieces of it in you, in your life, and you can take away from this, and you yourself, you can become a better version of you. We're all mirrors of each other, right? This is something that over the past couple years, I believe more and more and more. The people that have come into my life have been some of my greatest teachers, some of my greatest friends. I've met people that we are basically the same person, just in different stages of our lives. So, being able to look to that person for what their experience was, what their takeaways are, and, pulling those and being able to use those to help myself, right? And vice versa. So anyway, here we go. So the jungle, this entire experience was really a mental, a physical, a spiritual, emotional detox. So going to Peru, we went to the man that facilitates this magic. He prescribes to us specific plants that we're going to diet on in the jungle, and they make a tea from these plants. And so think of it like, homeopathic natural remedies, using spices, using herbs. This is the same thing, right? Only at a higher level. And this is something that's very common over in Peru. You can buy they call them the name, they are cigarettes that are rolled there. They're natural tobacco, and they will infuse them with Palo Santo, Babansana. So these plants that have specific properties to have an effect on your system, right? Clearing energy, peace, love, a sense of love, openness, feminine. It's just really, really, really amazing. So the plant that I was prescribed to diet on in the jungle is called Babansana. And so with this plant, it is a feminine plant, and emotionally, spiritually, it works with you to tap into your feminine, deepen your connection to your feminine energy, to open, to soften. It's a loving plant. And so when I drank this tea, the first two, glasses I drank, and I'm like, wow, the time that I spent with those thoughts and seeing the difference of how I was thinking as compared to how I normally think, right? It was in such a loving way, in an open way, in a soft way. And that was for the entirety of that time in the jungle. Every day I had that. So it built on itself, and this tied into really like my entire experience. So it started there. So with the jungle, the whole point is to isolate, right? So we isolate ourselves in the jungle. We have nothing. I had nothing for my life. I brought a backpack with clothes. So I had clothes and I had my Kindle, and I had I had a sketch pad, some pastel chalks, and colored pencils. That was it. We isolated in the jungle, and then I had my own tombow, right? So the tombow was super cool. It was a structure. It had a tin roof. It had six to eight posts. It had a wooden floor. You had a bed. You had a dresser. You had some shelves. You had a hammock. So the idea is to spend as much time as possible by yourself, with yourself. So if you've ever done anything to where you have a day in silence, right? No speaking, and you're not doing much, you really get to go deep into yourself, observe how you think, really like tap into your desires, and you're really essentially deepening the connection with you, with yourself, with your higher self, really all of the things. So we did have a couple days of silence, which further, encouraged the isolation aspect. So there was that. That was the first thing. And now, so the physical detox, we were served our food daily. They would bring the food to our tombos, and we ate twice a day. And the food it was delicious. It was a bowl of, there was always a grain. So it was rice or quinoa for breakfast. And you either had fish, which they caught from the river, cooked over the fire, whole entire fish, and then a plantain, right? Grilled plantain. And that was it. Lunch was always oatmeal and a plantain. Okay, so no spices, no oils, no fat, no nothing. Okay, so you are running on basically like natural energy, right? Your grains are from the earth. The meat was from the earth. The change that I noticed in my body and really my energy, the bowl of food had to be 2 cups, maybe almost 3 cups of whatever the grain was, and the entire plantain. Now, if you know me, you know how much I eat, and I eat a ton of carbs as it is. Now, in this one sitting, so my thought process, when I saw this bowl, I was like, hot damn, this is a lot of carbs and really not that much protein. I wonder how my body's going to change. Like, how is my body going to react? Prior to this, I committed. I'm like, whatever they feed me, I'm eating it. Like, they know what they're doing. So I was never stuffed, and it was a lot of food. I was never stuffed. I wasn't hungry, and my energy was really clean throughout the day. I didn't have that like, whoop, here's my energy, and now I'm crashing. My body, so coming back home, right, and seeing myself, because there's no mirrors there. We couldn't use any cosmetics, so no soap, no deodorant, no toothpaste, no lotion. You could not put anything on your body. You couldn't use anything on your body. You couldn't ingest anything besides the food they had there, the tea that you were served, and water. So all in all, when I came home and I saw my body, I was like, damn, girl, you lost a bit of weight. So I shrunk a little bit. I had no inflammation, right? So certain things that I could tell. I did lose a little bit of muscle because I wasn't eating, protein, really. It was such a minimal amount. And feel like my hormones may have been a little bit out of whack just because eating no fat the entire time. The 2 days prior and the 2 days after, yes, we did have fat, but that whole entire, almost 10 days without it, it definitely had an effect on my energy after. So when I came home, that rebound from it, I found that, I was pretty tired for several days. getting back into the gym and working out was a little bit of a challenge. The weights that I usually use, not even close to touching those. So being really gentle with myself and compassionate with myself was key getting back into that. So, okay, so that was the physical. So the emotional, right? Being with yourself and your emotions and really like digging into them. Why do I feel this way, right? What causes me to feel certain ways? Evaluating that and observing those things and really pondering on them, and what do I really want? What is really important to me? Being there without anything in my life. I didn't have to do any work. There was no cell phone service, so couldn't use my phone. I knew a handful of people there, but that was really it, right? I had nothing. And so what I found was important to me was the connections that I had. I was there with my partner, right? And that connection the whole time, like I was like screaming for that connection. I wanted it so bad. So with the work that we did there, amazing. And the awarenesses that I now have of how I used to operate and where I used to operate from, life-changing. So I'll kind of take you through the days and some of the things that I received. So while I was there, I journaled daily, my ponderings, my experiences, all of those things. So I'm going to use my journal as a reference to keep me on track. So, okay. So my second ceremony that I had, so for those of you that haven't heard me speak about this before, I work with plant medicine, right? And these medicines allow you to basically, you get to remove the veil from your everyday life. So your filter, basically, it's removing the ego. And the ego's job is to keep us safe. So anything that it sees as a threat, right? And the ego can tie in with stories and beliefs and things that we've carried from other lifetimes into this life, right? So we act from that. We always act from the ego. So in these processes, my goal is to differentiate the voice of the ego to the voice of myself and to the medicine. So my second ceremony, well, the first ceremony, I would start to feel the medicine come in and my ego and my brain was resisting it hardcore, to the point where, I would start to feel it. And when you feel the medicine, so they call the medicine grandmother, when I felt her come in, it's like this overwhelming, beautiful sense and feeling of love, right? All through your body, just amazing. So I would feel that, and my brain was like somebody plugged it into a high voltage light socket, and it was like all these crazy thoughts, things that, I'm like, why am I thinking about this? What is happening? So I'm observing this and seeing the panic, the panic that is happening from my ego. Like, oh shit, oh hell no, we are not doing this. We're not changing. We're not doing anything. We're good where we are. Good. You're solid. Yep. So my first night was a lot of that. The second night, I had a better way of navigating. So the second night, I experienced a Groundhog Day. And this Groundhog Day was, I would see this kitchen. I would be in this kitchen, and it was this dark, dingy, bleh kitchen. And then I would see myself shopping in the store repeatedly. And for those of you that are from New Jersey or were around when James Way was a thing, it was like a James Way. That was the vibe. That was the thing that I had. And so I'm seeing this, and the feelings that I felt were this like deep sadness, a despair, a like just like a sinking, just like a horrible, horrible feeling. And so I'm like, what is this? This is not my life. Whose life is this? Whose life is this? And I kept feeling these chest compressions. And when I would feel that, it would jolt me out of my process. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought there was something wrong with my heart. Is my heart okay? Do I need to go get my heart checked? What's happening? So I would go back in and I would see the same thing over and over and over again. And then I started hearing, well, if you don't like this life, throw it in the garbage. I'm like, yes, I'm throwing it in the garbage. This is not my life. I don't know whose life this is. I don't want this. Throwing it out. Done. Throwing it out. I would feel the chest compressions and then go back in and it would be there again. I kept hearing this name, Rebecca. Who the hell is Rebecca? So after I go through that process, I was confused. I'm like, why was I shown that? What is this? So I'm walking back to my Tombow, having a conversation with one of my friends and sharing what I experienced. And he shared his perspective with me that he thought, it could possibly be a past life. A lot of times medicine will show you past lives and how you died. So that made some sense to me, right? At least it was maybe this could be a thing. So the next morning, I woke up and I decided to open my records, my Akashic records. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the records, the Akashic records, if you're into any type of religion or you've been in religion, the book of life, right? So it always references the book of life. The Akashic records is the book of life. It is the records of your soul and all of the past lives. All of the things, right? Your records. You can go in and you can ask whatever questions you want. As long as the questions that you ask, the answer is going to serve you for your highest good, you will receive the answers. So about 2 years ago, I learned to read my records, and I wanted to learn how to read them specifically for the enlightenment of the purpose of my marriage, that relationship. I wanted to ask a bunch of questions, so I learned how to read them, and I did, and that opened my eyes big time. So I've been using them ever since then. And a really cool thing, a side note on that, a couple years ago, I was sitting with one of my girlfriends. She also reads the records, and she had said, she was reading my records, and she had said, you put all of these tools in your path for you to assist you in these experiences, in these situations, to give you guidance, to help you through for your growth. So the records helped me in like an indescribable way in navigating through, the ending of my marriage and healing from that. So I put that in my path, and now clearly it was in my path again to give me that awareness here. So when I opened my records, I had asked, I said, okay, so this experience that I had last night, what was that? Was it a past life? If so, what was it? What was my experience there? Why was I shown this? And what am I meant to take away from it? How is this here to serve me now? And the answer that I received was, yes, this indeed was a past life of yours. Your name was Rebecca. You were married and you had 4 children. and your husband took your children and left you, and you never moved past that. You never let go of that pain, and you relived it every single day. It was like Groundhog Day, exactly what I experienced in that process. So you kept reliving that day and being in those emotions until you decided to take your life. And when you did so, you overdosed with medicine. And the compressions were who found you, trying to bring you back. Okay, so that makes sense. Yes. Now, why was I shown this? So I brought that fear with me into this life, right? So my soul carried this experience here, and that fear is basically, or this programming that I have, this fear that I've been acting out of, is that I want love, I want the love, right? I get the love, and then when I have it, I just hold on to it. I cling to it. And it doesn't matter what is happening, if it's good, bad, indifferent, freaking horrible, right? I don't deserve this. I hold on to it because I'm afraid that it's going to leave. And I never open myself fully. And I always have one foot out the door. Well, Danielle, that's not how this works, right? So when that was shown to me, I sat with that, and I was able to see that specific pattern, that specific programming that I've been executing over the past, let's call it, month and a half, right? And also in other relationships that I've had in my life. And it, like, to romantic relationships, platonic friendships, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them. So that experience basically opened up the rest of them. And everything that I experienced from that point had to do with love, whether it was, relationship with myself, love and relationship with my partner, love with my friends, love with my body, right? It was all, the whole entire theme of this experience was love and connection, which was amazing. Now, when I was preparing to go to the jungle, I had specific things that I wanted to work on. And so, I would bring those things to mind, and there would be silence, and these thoughts would drop in. Like, what? Nope. Why am I thinking about this? This is not what I'm here to work on. Bring my intention back to mind. Silence. Here's those thoughts again. And I was told, Danielle, you think you know what you need. This is what you need. This is what we're doing. Okay, I surrender. We're doing it. I'm allowing it. So that experience was definitely a game changer. And then, so let's see, I had
Not sure I understand.
oh, my Siri Watch doesn't understand. That's okay. You don't need to understand. The next experience had to do with, so I released a lot of emotions, right? And emotions that apparently I had still been carrying and I was unaware of. So, I was laying there and just like listening to the music, breathing, connecting with myself, connecting with my body, and feeling that beautiful feeling of love. And then I just started, the tears started coming. And, now I'm like snotty nose, messy, crying, sobbing. And it was just seeing myself and everything that I had went through over the past year. Because a year actually this coming week, yeah, was when like shit got real with me ending my marriage. So seeing the past year in entirety and the emotions that I felt, and really it was like a bird's eye view of all of that. So, grieving that, feeling that acknowledgement for, that pain that I felt, that I welcomed, the healing that I did. And as those emotions came out and that release, it was like freeing. It was creating space basically for more, for good, for the good things that, I'm welcoming in. So, after that, once that process was over, uh, I heard, "You're safe." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I know I'm safe." And she said, "Well, yeah, you're safe within yourself. You're safe with yourself. You established that last year. But what you're not allowing yourself to feel and what you're not allowing yourself to know is that you are safe with John, which is my partner. You're safe with John. You've not allowed yourself to be that. You're still trying to protect yourself from something that you don't need to be protected from. And you're not allowing, and you're not opening, and you're not giving your love freely. You're holding back because that fear, right? You now are aware of that programming that you had, that you carried into this life. You were able to acknowledge it and heal it, that it's not yours. This is not from this life, and let it go. So now know that you're safe. And so that brought like way more release, tears, all of the things. And as I was doing that, it felt like, so I was laying at this point on my back. It felt like I had one of those x-ray pads on covering my entire body, and somebody just lifted it off me, and it was light and it was cool air and it was open and I could breathe, and it felt like a renewal, which was absolutely amazing. It was so beautiful. um I was able to connect with my body in such a way that, okay, so let me rewind that. Over the past few months, several months really, since the beginning of the year, I have been able to deepen the connection with my body in such a way, with love, right? Self-love, and a realization, or many realizations, that I had about what I did go through last year, and how taking the love that I was projecting outwards towards my ex-husband and directing that inwards towards myself, like how that changed my body, how my body started to react differently, how she started to receive messages differently, and how we were able to communicate differently, clearly and differently. And it's been absolutely magical. So this was the deeper level of that, to where, at night when I would go back to my tombo and be laying in bed and, talking with her and connecting with her, and feeling her, and, her sending me the messages. And it was like I was laying in bed with another person, which was wild. It was fucking amazing. So since being back, I've been making a conscious decision and effort, really, to continue that daily, because that connection is like, it's like no other connection that I've ever had. Well, no connection I've ever had with my body has been, like that. So that in itself is I'm so grateful for that, so grateful for that. And that's something that, I'm going to move forward in teaching my clients, because when you have that with your body, everything just flows everything is easy, like you're in alignment with each other, and it's just the feelings, right? The feelings of love all day, every day that you have for this beautiful body that you inhabit. So the next ceremony was it I was shown all of the ways that I have shown up from a space different than love, with my partner, with some of my closest friends, with some of my family. And I was also given the feelings that they felt during that experience they had of me. And then I was shown from my perspective now what that looks like. So that entire process was such a huge eye opener to how I was being, the person that I really believe, like, oh, well, this is who I am. This is how I feel, and this is how I feel. No, that's a load of shit. We have our core of who we are, but our thoughts and our behaviors and our emotions, the majority of those, actually really all of those, are from programming that we have. And that programming that we have, much of it was created when we were young, 0 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 13, right? All different stages of our lives, from people that we were around, our parents, our family, our teachers, our friends, our partners, whatever that was, right? These programs are installed. The ego plays a huge role in this, in, okay, we need to stay safe. Here's the programming that we're doing. And we act from that unconsciously. We don't choose that. That's when we say, like, oh, well, that's how I am. No, that's not how you are. That's because of the programming that you have. And you didn't intentionally create that program, most of them, but that's what you act from. So having the awareness of experiences like this, right? To where these are the actions that I took. These were the feelings that this person felt because of how I showed up. And now seeing that, okay, I say this, I do this, this is what it causes, knowing that feeling, that is enough to allow you to change that programming, to let that programming go. Or when that programming comes up, you are now aware of it and you get to choose differently. So you get to break that. You get to reprogram. You get to choose new. And as you continue to choose new, to choose differently, you are now installing the new programming of how you want to be. So that also huge, 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 right? I was given the a recap really of, what I wanted to do moving forward. Moving from the place where I live. My lease is up the end of August, and I had planned to move with John, and my past programming of fear, right, was I had this concern of, oh, well, what if I don't have my space? I need my space. I need my space. And in the jungle, I had more space from him than I've ever had, and didn't like it at all. Not at all, not for a minute. So the the words that were spoken to me were, okay, Danielle, so now let's review this. You know that you've been acting out of programming that you carried into this life, and it is not true. You don't need to do that. That's not how this works, right? So you've always had one foot out. You stopped opening. You've acted in this way over the past month and a half. Now you want to be both feet in, right? You said that. Yes, I said that. You want to commit, right? Because you want this. Yes, I do. I want this. Okay. And now you know that you're safe, right? Yes, I know that I'm safe. Okay. And now you're worried about space, all the space. I need my space. And now you've had more space than you've ever had from this person. And how does it feel? How do you feel? You don't feel good. I don't like it. Okay, so let's review again. And she takes me through it again. Now, you want to move from your home and create a new home for yourself with your animals. And so now, at what point do you think that, you know, you're creating a home together with this person that you love and that you're committing to and that you want to be with ultimately? What, when you decide in a couple months, like, okay, I'll allow you to be a part of my home, a part of my space? Like, no, no. So she went through that at, some deeper levels. And I was like, man, I was like, you are so right. It was like reality check. I felt like I was in school being schooled and like, no, this is how it is. You need to learn. You're going to learn today. So, that was a huge, a huge, 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 um, eye opener, really. It's like, my desires, I've known what my desires are. And it was like kind of dancing with the desires, like, oh, I want this, but I have this fear. So maybe I don't really want that, but I really want this. And oh, we're going that way, but oh, I'm afraid. So I'm going to take this action and kind of like fuck that up. Right. So like getting rid of all of that and just letting it go, letting it leave, letting it fall away. Right. Bye. So now to like step into that and the feeling of how good that felt and how right it felt and how freeing it felt and how just like solid, just grounding in that was like, okay, this is what you've been wanting. This is what you've been trying to do and not allowing yourself to do it. So, after that, I needed to apologize for ways that I have shown up, you know, to John and to some other people. So, sitting with that and really getting clear on what that looks like and how I want to show up for those people, how I want to be, how I want to give them my love. And then, God, so many little things, like little tiny tweaks of how I speak, words that I use, thoughts that enter my mind, actions that I take, little tiny manipulations that make the world of difference, a huge, huge, huge difference. Right. So a lot of awareness around that. And really like programming that in, letting it sink in deep, that that's how I want to show up. And this knowing of really moving, well, residing and moving from my heart. So when you're in your heart, right, your desires are in your heart, love is in your heart, you come from a place of love when you are in your heart. When I'm in my mind is trying to figure things out. My mind doesn't know. The mind can only perceive what has happened and how that happened. So when we think of the future and the things that we want and we come from the mind, it limits us, right? Because it uses what it's known from the past. And if we want to create new, we can't keep using that because it's going to keep us in that same everything. So from your heart is where you move from. And that knowing and that whole new, like, I created a process that I do in the morning to ground myself in my heart, to have intentions from my heart for the day and sit with myself multiple times during the day to recenter, to reground there. When certain thoughts or certain emotions enter my mind or my body and they don't feel good, or there's certain words there, or there's fear there, checking in. Okay, where's this from? This is not from my heart. So coming back to the heart and then moving from there and choosing from there. And the difference in the actions, the thoughts, the emotions, the experiences of other people that I've had since being back and moving and acting from that place is like nothing that I've ever experienced, ever. It's amazing. It's amazing, amazing. So, okay, hold on. He'll drink. So, so the last ceremony was so much fun. I couldn't stop laughing the entire time. And I had bouts of the giggling, like trying to keep it in, right? Because I didn't want to disturb anybody else in their process. So I'm like sitting there like and knowing, right, okay, Danielle, you got to be quiet. So I go outside. Now, 3 days prior to the last ceremony, we had a huge storm roll through the jungle. And this was amazing. So, we're laying there and all of the ceremonies were at night. And in the jungle, it's pitch black. So you can't see shit. You open your eyes and it's like your eyes are not open. So laying there and all of a sudden I hear, and it sounded like spaceships landing. But it was the wind coming through the jungle for minutes. It sounded amazing. And then when it finally got there and through the Maloka, it was this cold wind. And then the storm came, thunderstorm, beautiful, beautiful storm. And after that, it was cold and there was no sun, which was not that enjoyable. So on the last day, the sun started to come out. So as I'm sitting there having these bouts of this super fun laughing, I was like, okay, you got to go outside, Danielle. So go outside. I see the sun. And so I'm chasing the spots of sun. I'm sitting in this spot of sun until it moves. Then I'm moving to the other one and I'm laughing and I'm laughing and I'm laughing. And I just experienced this joy, right? And I was told, Danielle, feel how happy you are. You are so happy. And you don't allow yourself to feel all of it. Feel it. Really feel it. Go deep and feel it. And that joy, it was like, usually when I'm happy, it's a feeling that I have in my chest. It's a little fluttery. It's fun. It's bubbly. And this was like deep in my belly, all through my body. It was like butterflies throughout my entire body. Amazing. So the whole day I was feeling that. And so there were several different moments to where I'm sitting there and so this one was really cool. The sun goes in and I'm like, oh no, where's the sun? So I get up and I'm looking over the Maloka and I'm looking through this little opening. There's all these trees and there were many clouds. They're moving really fast. So I'm standing there and I'm looking up at the clouds and I'm just staring, and it was just like this download. Like I was downloading information, frequency, whatever it was from the sky. It was like all through my body. It was like a recalibration and just that knowing of, okay, these things, these are things and they are changing. All of this work that you have done, let's make this permanent. This is what it is. This is what you're downloading, right? The newer version of you. I had that experience also just like in the jungle, just like locking eyes with different things in the jungle and just information, a recalibrating of my body. Certain parts of my body they would vibrate, they would shake, and then it would dissipate, it would go away, right? Releasing energies, releasing trauma, releasing whatever it was. So the last ceremony was it was so much fun. It was definitely the best one. So much laughing and just so happy, and all of the good things. So since I've been back, it is still unfolding, right? Being able to see now the entire experience as a big picture and how it all ties together and how it continues to unfold as I continue to, ground in my heart and move from my heart and show up in love and, tweak my thoughts, my emotions, my actions, and the result of that. And also, like how I do things in my daily life. I've been very intentional to not dive back into my phone, right? Like no phone in the jungle, how amazing. So now, I have something to do, and I'm like, okay, you're going to go on social media. You're going to post this. You're going to do these things that you need to do, and then you're going to put your phone down. Whereas in the past, it's pick up the phone, let's scroll. Oh yeah, what do I gotta do? Oh, let's do that thing. Scroll some more, check some email, go shopping, do this, check that. Just get lost in this hole. Sucked me right in. So no more of that, right? No getting lost in that. And really being gentle with myself, grounding in my heart, and being very intentional with all of the things that I do, right? How I'm spending my time, where I'm giving my energy away that I don't need to be giving my energy away, right? Spending more time doing things that that allow my mind to just kind of like turn off and connect with me, like as a kid, like drawing, painting, that kind of stuff. Doing more reading, which I actually have only read once or twice since I've been home. I was thinking about that before, like gotta do that. Um, Starting singing lessons, right? Like doing things that make my soul happy. Happy. This is all we want, is to be happy, right? And when we feel love and when we give love, that's the ultimate state of joy. So, something also that's unfolded for me, or an awareness, that I got the other day, with giving my love, unconditional love. So in the past, you know, I will give my love to you. And when I feel like you're not giving me as much love as you normally do, I will kind of level the playing field and I will stop giving as much. I will match your efforts. If you take your love away, or, I'm mad at you, I'm taking my love away, which is not unconditional love. So, having that awareness and seeing that come up and seeing myself wanting to do that, and stopping and choosing differently, right? That's happened a couple times over the past week. So always a work in progress. Like the real work is now. It's daily. It's all the time, right? Observing your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and like when they don't align with you, your desires, what you really want, or with love, getting to the root of where that's coming from, getting to the root and reframing it to be from a place of love. And that's where everything changes. That's where the magic happens, right? So, I've been talking for a really long time to you. There is much more to come, I'm sure, as the days continue, and as I move forward with this life, with these relationships. So I will continue to update you on how this journey goes. If this sounds like something that you would be interested in doing, or you want to talk more about it one-on-one, I am 1000% open to that. Shoot me an email on social media, Danielle Francine on Facebook, Danielle Francine 1203 on Instagram. Please feel free, reach out. My email is on the account, I believe. It's greenlithium@gmail.com. But yes, so as I said in the beginning, my prayer, my desire, my hope is that you are able to see some of this in your life and maybe take some of what I've learned and implement that into you, and how you operate so that you can live a more fulfilled life, a happier life. So until next time, which I can't wait, be well, move from a place of love, allow the love, give the love, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.